So your periods used to be light, they used to be predictable. Now they show up early, they show up late, or not at all. Some months they can be light and manageable, and others, well, they just crash in like a flood. This isn't just bad luck, it's perimenopause, and it can turn your cycle upside down years before menopause actually arrives. My name's Julianne Garrido, and I help women navigate menopause and perimenopause with yoga, self-care, and natural solutions that really do work. Today is all about perimenopause periods and the real struggles that women face. We're going to be talking about what's happening in your body and looking at some gentle, effective ways to cope. So let's dive on in. So there's so much focus on menopause and menopause symptoms. We kind of think, well, there's no periods. But the truth is, for years before menopause actually arrives, the stage called perimenopause, right? Your cycle can turn into a hormonal roller coaster, and not the fun kind. So periods start to change during perimenopause as hormone levels, the two, estrogen and progesterone, start to fluctuate. Some months you might ovulate and others you might not, but that affects how your uterine lining builds up and sheds. And the result, periods can become heavier, lighter, shorter, longer, and often much more unpredictable and even painful. So I recently asked the women in my Facebook community, Yoga for Menopause, there's the plug, what they struggle with most during perimenopause when it comes to periods, right? And these were the results. So over 250 women voted in this poll about their biggest struggle with periods in perimenopause. It was a multiple choice option, so they could choose more than one. And let's be honest, we can experience more than one at the same time. But as you can see, the top struggle was irregular cycles, followed by flooding and then heavy bleeding. Others also experience cramps, longer periods, and things like spotting or clotting. In other words, perimenopause periods can throw just about everything at you, and no one actually experienced these changes in periods in the same way. So let's look closely at what happens when our periods change and what can be done. But before we dive on in, drop me a comment and tell me what you struggle with most right now in perimenopause with your periods. So irregular cycles, this was top of the list in the poll, where a lot of women might have a cycle every 2 weeks and then suddenly skip a few months. And some poor women go almost to 12 months and think they're about to enter officially into menopause and the period comes. My tip with this is to track your cycle with an app or even a paper calendar, not to control it, but to be prepared, to kind of see if there is any pattern. Then flooding or a sudden heavy flow, this was next in the poll, and it always happens when you least expect it. And the best tip for this is to always have supplies with you. Even consider a menstrual cup or disc, which can hold more than pads or tampons. And dark clothing on those heavy days obviously takes away the anxiety. Heavy bleeding, this is really common as we saw in the poll, and it's normally heavier from the start of the cycle. It can be very draining, so make sure you're eating iron-rich foods like the leafy greens, beans and red meat if you eat it. Hydrate well, and always again keep track of these hormonal changes, or even speak to a GP because sometimes there could be other issues. Painful cramps. So there's lots of solutions that can be deployed to tackle horrible cramps. And we may even have experienced these from the age of 11 or whenever you first started your periods. Hot water bottles, heating pads help to relax the uterine muscles and ease the pain. Slow, deep belly breathing signals the nervous system to relax, and this can take away the intensity of pain. A regular intake of magnesium glycinate. This supports the muscles, helping to reduce cramping. And then you also have over-the-counter remedies too. But I want to share with you one amazing natural solution that eases menopause cramps, right? And it's a restorative yoga pose that relaxes muscles and takes away tension from this area. And it's the pose that I recommend to all women, even young girls who are struggling, right? And it's so easy to do, and it can even be done on your bed. So as you can see here, you're going to create a reclined position. The pose is reclined bound angle pose, right? So your spine is at this angle, which is really important, which I'll tell you in a minute. But you want to bring your feet together in a diamond shape so that the hips gently open, and maybe even prop your thighs underneath with cushions. And this helps to soften the inner thighs, encourages blood flow and relaxation in the lower body, right? It helps to relax the uterine lining and almost helps the blood to pool, so it feeds and nourishes and bathes those organs. But it also signals our nervous system to relax and let go, and we really need that at this time. So honestly, you don't need a yoga bolster, you don't need to set it up like I have. You can do it on your bed with pillows, providing you get that reclined position, so there's this tilt on the uterus. That's really, really important. Drop me a comment, let me know what works for you when you're struggling with really painful period cramps. Other symptoms that can arise during your period include spotting between cycles, clotting, heavy clotting, or even a mid-cycle break, which completely throws you off. If you have any concerns, always get these checked out to rule out anything more sinister. But I just want to touch on a couple of other symptoms that can be more intense in perimenopause, and that's the anger and irritability. Did you know that I want to kill my husband is one of the most searched for terms on Google? I think it says it all. I think they are perimenopausal, right? But those fluctuations in hormones can leave us feeling more angry, more irritable around this time, and working on a very short fuse. And it's completely normal because it's totally overwhelming. But again, yoga can be your best friend, especially restorative yoga, because you're calming the nervous system. You're cooling that inner fire that's burning with rage. And you're also using the breath, right? So, and by moving the body, you can release excess heat and burn off that irritability, that anger that can build. And the other one is poor sleep, right? Periods often disrupt our sleep, and then that's a knock-on effect for overwhelming fatigue and loss of energy. And that's the time to make time for Yoga Nidra, often called yogic sleep, but you're not actually sleeping. It is a non-sleep deep rest meditation. It allows your body to fully relax and rest, calms the nervous system, reduces stress and anxiety, and actually improves your sleep, right? And it's a tool I recommend all the time for coping with fatigue, overwhelm, and exhaustion. How to do it? All you have to do, no effort involved, is to lie back and listen to a guided meditation. And you can use it either before sleep to help you relax to go to sleep, or even during the night when you wake up, just keep the headphones next to your bed. Okay, so I also want to touch on a question that I get asked all the time is, can you still practice yoga during your period? Yes, you absolutely can, right? Because yoga can help you more than anything. And the key is to listen to your body and choose the right style for how you're feeling. Traditional yoga often treated menstruation, and still does, as a time to completely rest. And many schools of yoga actually tell you to avoid doing any kind of inversion where the pelvis is higher than the heart, while others say it's actually fine if you feel comfortable doing it. There isn't one right answer, is what I say. It's entirely up to you. But menopause yoga comes into its own actually here, because it offers a variety of approaches to support the female body at this time. And on those days when you feel absolutely drained, restorative yoga replenishes your energy levels. Or on the days where you haven't slept, Yoga Nidra. Or on the days where you just want to boost digestion or release tension from the body, a very light flow helps, right? But it's about the ability to choose what's right for you. And then lastly, alongside yoga, let's just touch on a few small changes that you can make which will make a big difference to your periods. So nourishing yourself with iron and magnesium. We've touched on magnesium glycinate, yeah? It's to replenish what's been lost during heavy bleeding, and it can also ease the muscle cramps and so on. But think leafy greens and dark chocolate, go for it. Gentle walking, fresh air, movement keeps everything flowing and, you know, blows away the cobwebs, and sometimes a short stroll can be just enough. Prioritizing rest. You need to take the time out to give yourself and your body time to recover, even a nap if you need to. And staying hydrated, yeah, is very important. Water, herbal teas help the body recover, because dehydration actually worsens the muscle cramps and fatigue. And managing stress, we've talked about anger, but it often highlights this irritability and overwhelm. So don't forget simple breathing techniques, yeah, where you lengthen the exhalation to help your nervous system come down and to reset your mood. But finally, please, right, don't put up with extreme symptoms. See a doctor if you're bleeding so heavily that you soak through a pad or a tampon in under a couple of hours, or if you're passing large clots regularly, bleeding after sex or in between periods, and if you're feeling dizzy or short of breath. So to summarize, you're not alone in this. Perimenopause periods can be rough, but there are ways to manage them and support your mind and body during this time, which maybe you've not considered before. If you want more support, stick around. I am flicking to the best pose for perimenopause menstrual cramps and my Yoga Nidra for menopause insomnia. So enjoy, don't forget to subscribe to the channel. And I know perimenopause turns periods upside down, but with the right tools, you can manage those changes and feel a little bit more like yourself again. I'll see you again soon. Namaste.